What's going on, guys? I tested most of the vibe coding tools you've heard of and a few that I had never heard of to see if we could get any usable results out of these things. Everyone has probably tried, making a website from a prompt, and the question is basically, do these work? Can you get anything real, or is it just slop? And the answer is it's mostly slop, but I was actually able to get some impressive results out of a few of them. And the task was both simple and complicated. So what I said is, I just want you to clone Tumblr. That's kind of a complicated one, needs a backend, needs auth, it's gonna have to handle media, but it's probably not that complicated for, a senior engineer. A little bit of background, I work on AI stuff. I've been coding for a while, like more than 5 years, most days, and I work on Aqua Voice right now. Let's just kind of dive in and we'll run through each of these. So here are the tools I tested: Lovable, Bolt, Base 44, Vercel V0, Replit Agent V3, and Rork. And this is a prompt that I used. I'll put a post up so you can copy it. Basic prompt, which basically says clone Tumblr and do a good job. Okay, so let's look at some results quickly. So we'll start out with Bolt, which was kind of the OG for me. And let's go ahead and hop over to the results and we'll see okay, can I sign up? Okay, so I can sign in, that's great. What about a text post? Hello world. Testing, 1, 2, post. Okay, boop, database error. That was kind of the bummer with Bolt, is it got me medium far. I wouldn't say this is the greatest design in the world, but basically it was having a lot of database errors. Probably if I whack it with a hammer for 10 minutes, you could get it to work, but out of the box, it wasn't really ready to go and ready to post. Another thing that was a bummer was, unless I explicitly said I need to be able to upload images, it kept putting why don't you just put an image URL here, which is just a cheat, right? No Tumblr clone asks for an image that's already been uploaded somewhere else. Okay, next, Lovable. So this is the one that I was probably expecting to win. Let's go ahead and look at the published URL. Again, you can try all these out if you want yourself. So, okay, sign in. Okay, there we go. So out of the box, the Lovable auth did work. That was great. Let's try to post. I walked across the street for an ice cream cone. Great. And what about likes? Yep, I can do likes. No comments, no reblogs. Also, this is kind of like a Twitter clone, I would say. It doesn't feel super Tumblr-ish. There's obviously similar, have a lot of overlap. And then now the main test is an image. So Lovable taking the L with asking for a URL. If I follow up and say, hey, I need real image upload, maybe I can get it. I did this a few times, and one of the times it worked, one of the times it didn't, but it was not ready to go out of the box. I also got to say, this design is, I just am not loving it. It doesn't feel well put together. So let's move on. Base 44. I had never heard of Base 44. Looking at the back end of how it works, if you actually look at the code, it's doing a lot of cheats, I would say, but maybe they're good cheats, because it seems like instead of setting up a Postgres database on Supabase or whatever, it is using primitives that are explained to the model that are kind of already set up and ready to go. And but let me just show you the results, because this is probably the winner. I was happiest with this. So first of all, we got image uploads working out of the box. The text one, hello world, testing. I was pretty happy with this result. Boop, so you can do a text post, you can like it. I'm commenting on my own stuff. You can drop in a comment. And this does, I'll refresh the page, it does all basically save to the database. And then if I do like an image upload, like I'll just re-upload this, post, image, drag it in, and post it again. Awesome. Again, it's kind of like Twitter more than it's like Tumblr. It maybe didn't have a super deep understanding of how like Tumblr blogs work or whatever, and I'm the only user on this. But the point is, after like one prompt or two prompts, I had something that was pretty much working. This is the winner. There are others that had a better design, but this is the winner for basically don't waste my effing time. Okay, next. V0. Man, I was so hyped when I was using V0. I had not really realized that they had taken it from like it'll just build a front end to it'll go full stack. Supabase integration, that was nice, that was easy. Let's see where the Supabase thing is. Connect, this was easy, but it just didn't work. Just did not work. So basically we have like the totally phoned in AI slop design. If we do like a login, or yeah, let's see. It gave me these scripts to run, which I assume were like database migrations or whatever, and they just didn't work. And after clicking the fix it button like 3 times, like let's see. Can you fix the script that's not running? Script 5 isn't working. I just couldn't get it to go. Can I log in? Nope, failed to fetch. You basically have all these problems. Doesn't work out of the box. And as nice as all of this looks in terms of, oh, I see the error and I'll try to fix it for you, I wasted the most time on this. The UI is great. Vercel did a great job with the UI. But in terms of time wasting, this was number one. Mega waste of time. I didn't even understand like why these things weren't working. Again, failed to fetch, just, bullshit. Next, Replit. So I've used this before for like internal tools and kind of testing stuff out. And what I will say is it's the most flexible tool. You don't have to stay in JavaScript land, and it will build something closer to a full stack app with like a real backend integration. And like I know the founder guy, Ahmad, I like him. I like the vibes coming from Replit. They're not going to win any design awards. So it took about 20 minutes. This is what I ended up getting. Fine, this is pretty much just standard slop, but it works. Boop, here's the deployed version. It uses Replit auth. It doesn't like roll its own auth each time. That's a nice hack. Base 44 actually does the same there, and it just avoids a lot of problems, like frankly that Vercel was having, where it just can't even get off the ground with like, hey, log in. Here we have some stuff. So images also worked out of the box, which is really nice. Let's just go ahead and try that. Whoops. How about upload image? There we go. Okay, upload this. And there we go. And can I like this? Yes, I can like it. Can I comment? Nope, I can't comment. So that was kind of the disappointing thing. This took by far the longest. It was like 20 minutes. And a lot of things did work out of the box, which was great. And again, less time wasted. But it was like, okay, seriously, if I go back to the prompt, it's basically like, okay, look, we're done with the initial stuff. Here's like all the initial stuff. It basically suggested a bunch of like next steps that were very advanced, like, oh, do you want to add moderation tools? Do you want to add like a custom video CDN? Basically stuff that's like, yeah, no, I don't want that. And comments were not implemented. This is kind of classic AI thing where it pretends or basically convinces itself it's gotten way more work done than it has actually gotten done. I think this is a tool I would definitely keep in the toolbox, but for like, if you wanted to make a social network for your friends, I'm not sure I would do it here. Base 44 was looking a lot better in terms of just give me something I can actually use. I actually just want to send a link in the group chat and say, look what I made. You guys should post here. Last one is Rork. So had also not heard of these guys, and I think they are optimized for building like iOS apps. They had a very nice design, very, very nice design. So if I type, actually I think I'm gonna have to sign up again, because one of the weaknesses of these guys is the back end was like not happening. You couldn't upload images and it wasn't saving the auth state. But if I do this, okay, so this is basically what I would call boomer mode, in the sense that none of these things really work. Like that works, but you can't repost, you can't comment. There's a screen, but like you can't view other comments, doesn't seem to save. But man, this is pretty nice in terms of a UI. And so I was really hoping that this would work with backend. And so it asked me, all right, hey, do you want to enable the backend integration? I did. It chugged along. And at the end, it was basically the same as if I hadn't enabled backend. It's still all boomer mode. But I would say this is the design winner, in the sense that this UI is a little on the generic side, a little uninspired, but head and shoulders above what the others were chunking out. And yeah, I was very impressed by this. The problem is, I don't know what good this is to me if I can't get the back end going, because who cares about mocks, right? I wanted like a social network with like 4 users on it, and just I wanted to see how that would go. And so it wasn't clear to me like what I'm supposed to do here. It's talking about how image and video uploads don't actually work. And if you want to, like, let's do a text post here. Hello world, this is Finn. Okay, post it. But it's an impressive UI, and hopefully they get a backend implementation that is as robust as something like a Base 44 or a Lovable cloud, and then it'd be a real contender. But so now we get to the end, which is basically what's the one that I would recommend using after kind of going through this, knowing what I know now. And the answer for most web apps, I would go not with Lovable, but with Base 44. If you want a social network, you want something where you need backend, you need auth, you want to be able to upload stuff, you need some state, but you're not planning to scale to 1 million users, which honestly, which Vibe Coder is, this is how I would do it. There's a lot of things I don't know about this platform, like how the database security and stuff works, but frankly, most of these projects aren't getting blown up because like the database security sucks. They just get left in like a half-built state because things don't work, and it's not worth the user's time to figure out what the AI screwed up. Now we need to add dark mode. That's a pretty fun workflow. That's a fun thing to do late at night, is like, oh, I have this idea for an app, whatever. I would probably use these guys. Runner-up would probably be Lovable or Replit, depending on what type of app you're trying to do. If you're really focused on like, oh, I want front end, I want decent-ish design out of the box, I guess you got to go Lovable on the runner-up. Replit has just blown chunks for me in terms of design. It's just really bad, but it is way more functional. Generally out of the box, the features are implemented in a deeper way. So I think it's a tie there, kind of depends what you're going for. Do you need the functionality, or are you just trying to kind of get a mock? And yeah, dark horse, I'll give to Rork, in the sense that a website's cool, but an app is definitely way cooler. And if I think about making something and sending it to my friends, chances they'll like look at an app are actually way higher. That's where they're all going to see it on their phone anyway. But the back-end problems were just not something I had time to sort through. So that's, I think, the state of vibe coding tools from a very pragmatic perspective. I have not been paid by any of these guys. I was, in a past life have built things like Tumblr clones, social networks, whatever. And so I've done a lot of this stuff, and I'm kind of waiting for the day where AI is going to be able to actually do it for real. The models have gotten a lot better, but they're not always quite there. And I was impressed with the Base 44 platform and its ability to actually deliver a usable product. And I had previously known Replit was also pretty good there. You guys should try these out and get off of pure Lovable, pure Bolt, just because they were the first. Because in my experience, most of the time, they're not going to get you something that actually works.